So this is Tuesday, April 17th, advanced class with gospel. We're going to talk a little bit, and then we're going to move forward from there and get some reading done together. Your 75 item list is due tomorrow.
Oh no.
High step, we're going to go to we had no questions on the 75 item list, but once again, worker. There it is. If you're needing to find information, do your 75 items, you're good to go. We'll talk about that then. Then, I think we talked a little bit about this with you guys yesterday. I just had to cut you off at some point. Since we got through, did we talk about?
Yes.
Beta gold, I did give you a hint yesterday of beta gold.
It's beta gold.
We only talked about Josh and Larry.
Then I apologize. Here's the hint I can give you with beta gold.
I already know.
We have met who beta gold is. So at some point, as we go through it, we're going to find out that Beta Gold is a person that we have met at some point in the story. I'm not going to tell you if it's a big character or a little character, but we have definitely met this person. Then, aside from your predictions on who Beta Gold is, which I'm sure would be adorable, I mean, history and Google I'm sure would show you, but that's not important right now. That would ruin the experience as you go through and find out our history. From there, did we get to talk about Beth yesterday? No. Then, quick question to you guys. Thoughts on Beth as a person, now that we're finding out a bit more about her overall? Terhune?
What I think, like, Josh says that Beth wants to be popular and that's what she's trying to do with Todd. But it said somewhere in the book that Josh would take the same opportunity if he became president, and that he would like to be popular too if he could. And so I think he's only kind of upset with Beth a little bit because she's actually fulfilling that like dream of theirs without him.
And part of it, I think maybe he's bitter about the fact that he is popular but can't claim the popularity. Like he's like the most popular person out there, but no one knows it's him. I can imagine a little bit of frustration that would go along with that same idea too. One of the comments that was made earlier was the fact that it almost seems like Josh is trying to do like low-key brainwashing of Beth, because he keeps trying to put out all these different sermons, knowing that she's going to follow whatever Larry says, and he's kind of doing a creepy little controlling of her in one way or another. Let's see. Anyway, we did talk about Josh yesterday overall, whether you guys liked him or not. We did do that one. And then Beta Gold. We didn't get to you guys having your weird. Ooh. Let's go with, who is it you guys, once again, those of you who have read farther, we do get to find out who Beta Gold is eventually. Don't reveal that. But for those of you who haven't gone farther, do you have ideas on who you think Beta Gold is going to pop up to be? Stanley?
I think it's Beth. Because
why Beth?
The first three letters are the same, and yeah.
So I can see the connection.
The first three.
And so the first three letters, that works for me. Wow.
It's a good prediction, right?
Nailed it, Rami.
I read ahead, but it's obvious to be kind of cool if Josh was Beta Gold. What the? Like it'd be like a giant plot twist in the whole story.
That
Why would it be
would be a plot twist. I will say that the plot twist that second period came up with when they were trying to figure it out is they said that Beta Gold was his mom.
I was just thinking that. I was thinking that too.
She had been like pretending to be dead the whole time. Like there's like a big scene in the book where all of a sudden she hunts him down and she's like, "You're Larry, Josh!" Like they hug each other and like, "You're that!" Like there's a slap involved and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's not the book we're reading. That one would be interesting. Kennedy?
It's kind of goes along with the mom thing, but it's his stepdad's girlfriend.
Yes. That's what I've heard too. Yeah. Catherine can be a definite. The idea that, the only thing I mean, and I know, I try not to give away too much, is that at least personality-wise, she does not present that way. She seems so much...
You said she again.
Yes, I'm talking about Catherine. Oh, okay. That she... Catherine, who's a girl, does not present as being aggressive. She's very meek. Whereas Beta Gold, he, she, it, they, whoever this person might be, is much more aggressive. Yes.
So I'm looking ahead, but I stopped myself right before. So I don't know who it is. But I honestly think
How would you know what it was?
no, I stopped like at the end of chapter 5.
Oh.
So whatever. Just children.
Numbers confuse them, dear. It's okay.
Anyway, I actually do think it's Catherine because it says in the book that she's trying to figure out who he is.
She is definitely obsessed. That would be a clue in that direction. Sandy?
I think that it might be Larry's stepdad because he is always angry and he hates Larry because he's not getting his business.
I have heard very strong evidence in that direction also, that being Peter. And I heard Kid present a pretty good argument earlier that it's not only Peter, but Peter already knows that Josh is Larry, and that he's just trying to keep the information back at this whole point. And so that his part of his raging is that whole thing going up to that, and that he's already aware of all of it. Now we get to kick you out again to go take the other line. And now you get to switch from the iPad to the book. So it's almost the same. Someday, Jonathan, I look forward to the day where I get to have you in here and we get to bond and all kinds of good stuff.
Seems weird.
You have a writing utensil?
Being weird.
Okay. Terhune!
I want to know about what you said about Catherine. You said that she doesn't really fit the mold of Bedical
Mhm.
because she's more of like a
Meek person?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that just like feeds more into my theory that she is Bedical because she could be hiding that aggressiveness.
I'm a keyboard warrior.
And keeping it to herself because she wants to make a good impression on Josh. And so hiding behind the screen name like that was on our test is her way of being aggressive without like changing Josh's thoughts with her.
And it's, I mean, we see the same thing with Josh. Josh's Larry persona is much different than his Josh one, so
No, it's not.
there's people who are very strong one way online, but face to face are not that way.
I've met many people like
Sandy.
that.
There is no page 109.
Okay.
There is not.
Yeah. There's no page number, there's a page 109.
Yeah, but that's just a quote.
Sandy, do
Quiet,
math.
get out.
So, on page 108 and a half, to help Sandy out. By the way, these different quotes they have at the beginning of each one, they have meaning with what's going to happen in that part of the book. If you go back and look at the part 2 one, it's this whole thing about revealing who you truly are. We find out he's Larry. And so you find out like each one of these different sections has meaning with why they chose that particular quote. And this one says, "And there came a voice from heaven saying, 'Thou art my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased.'" And so that's going to have a connection with what we're getting into moving forward. Page 111. Do you know what it's like to be driving along in second gear and then to accidentally pop the shift into fifth? And my guess is you guys probably don't because you don't drive. But it's a weird sensation when you're driving and try to go into a different gear and roar, and it goes into different.
Sure, that one guy that was telling the stories at Camp Tecumseh would know.
Yes, Mr. Jackson. I was expecting to spend lunch with Beth, hear about how she loved the Thoreau sermon. Okay, I was actually nervous. Larry wrote about nature and Thoreau while I was off in the woods doing the same. The timing was a bit risky, even for me. There were enough Josh-Larry clues for someone like Beth to make the connection, which of course made it all the more exciting. But she yanked me into an alternative reality with her news. You'll never guess what Bono's doing. We talk about the mega rock star now as if he were someone we knew personally. A giant rock festival. U2 is playing, along with dozens of other bands, in a big empty field in Maine. Music, arts, crafts. She read from the paper in her hand. A spontaneous gathering of anti-consumerism and general goodwill called Larry Fest. Larry Fest? I shouted. Is this for real? Tens of thousands of people have already signed up. And believe it or not, Mom told me I could go. Since Marie and 2 of her friends are going, they can give us a ride. We can camp. What do you say? I go away for 3 days, and there's a festival in the woods? Sorry, a festival in the works? It's our Woodstock, she said. Woodstock was in August. Well, this one's 4th of July, so ease up. She told me that all the bands were playing for free, and all the companies would sell food and drinks at cost. Not just because of the Woodstock 99 debacle, but because of Larry's non-commercial agenda. It's a festival with no crap, no junk, just music and dancing and singing and friendship and ideas. It's going to rock. If you're unfamiliar with Woodstock, it was a big rock concert back in the 70s before I was born. It was in a place called Woodstock, New York, and they played for free. It was all about the hippies and music and love and friendship and stuff like that. Big concert. Lots of drugs, apparently. I don't know. I wasn't there. I was not born yet. But they tried doing it again in 1999, the year before I started teaching, and a couple of years before this happened. And it was an absolute debacle. The problem was, instead of being all about hippies and love and music, it was all about making money, corporations, and greed. And so they set it up, charged a whole bunch of money. And the problem was, it was in August, heat wave came through, people got dehydrated. So these companies had the bright idea of making even more money by selling water bottles at a marked up price. They originally started off as $1 per water bottle because people were getting dehydrated and getting sick. But they realized if you really wanted water, supply and demand, they cranked the price up to $5 a water bottle. Made even more money. Problem was, they were still selling out too fast. They cranked it up to $10 per little water bottle just so they could make money off people who are out there getting hurt and in pain. And there's like all these articles about being an awful thing, and so because of that, they sort of stopped doing big music festivals, and so Woodstock '99 is kind of shameful. Yeah.
How was Windows 95 back when you were teaching?
It was like 95. It was like 93, but 2 years different. Too stunned for words, I excused myself and headed to the library to log on. Sure enough, the people who had put this together had done it all secretly, as a surprise to Larry. It's a new culture for you, for all of us, the email exclaimed in 20-point purple font. Larry, whoever you are, stay incognito, but please come. I laughed so loudly, Miss Costanzo, the librarian, slumped across the room to shush me. The room seemed bare and empty, ready for summer vacation. I turned back to the screen. I signed up right then and there. Josh Swinson would attend. I caught up with Beth outside her locker. It's incredible. Of course we're going. Todd wanted to catch a ride with us too, but he's got some family thing he can't get out of. Todd? I thought he was out of the picture. Jeez, what else happened while I was gone? He is out of the picture. He just needed a ride. Stop wigging. I suddenly felt, oh, that is so 90s. I suddenly felt overwhelmed with information. After school, I aimed my bike at Bloomingdale's and pedaled like a maniac. Unfortunately, Marlene wasn't on. Some woman with bright pink lipstick and a mole with 3-inch hair waved me away. But Brunhilde herself had no power over me. I plopped down the padded stool anyway. Mom, can you hear me? I waited until I felt her presence. Excuse me. I'm doing it, Mom. I'm changing the world. Hundreds of thousands of people coming together in peace. It's working, Mom. I'm contributing. I pictured her in my mind, laughing, stuffing envelopes for her latest cause, still wearing the feather earrings she'd worn in college. I'm so proud of you, Joshy, she would say. Will there be anything else? The mole woman asked. Yes. Could you please leave me alone for a few more minutes? You're interrupting an almost perfect moment. She stormed away, and I listened for the next person to walk by with a message from my mother. Keep it up, a man told his wife. It's your life's work. I raised my fists in the air in victory. I'd always been aware of it before, but now I had to exemplify Larry's beliefs 24/7. And Larry Fest would be the perfect place to start. But Larry's email from Beta Gold the next day jolted me out of my peace, love, and understanding reverie. Are you going to Larry Fest, Larry? With your jeans and your boots, it should be called Coward Fest or Hide Behind Your Screen Name Fest. Don't you think maybe we can play a giant game of truth or dare and out Larry? Better yet, instead of a metal detector at the gate, how about a polygraph test? Ollie, Ollie, oxen free. Come out, wherever you are. I will be there, Larry. I will find you. Beta Gold. By the way, I think it's always weird how he types in the big capital letters and then has the name in like the little lowercase ones. You get like the little opposite thing. Always sort of throws me off. You're right. Wrong.
What's a polygraph test?
Lie detector test. Let's do a little lie detector. This time, I didn't even respond. Didn't want to give Beta Gold any more ammunition. Because of Beta Gold and Billy North, I already analyzed Larry's sermons 1,000 times before I sent them out. Petrified I'd make some innocuous comment about street signs or great blue herons that could lead anyone to me. Things were going great. School was done. Beth and I started full-time at the hardware store, and the pomp and circumcision of graduation was finally over. There was no way Beta Gold could track me down in Maine. There were already 230,000 people signed up. I would be just another face in the crowd, another teen searching for life's deeper meaning. Either that, or I was being set up. Picture Larry item 57, his camera. Now, of course, the question comes, you're looking at a picture of his camera.
Yeah.
So the question is,
How did you do
how
that?
did you take a picture of your camera?
It's a smartphone, duh.
Yeah, so they didn't have that kind of smartphone back then.
I know.
This was
Maybe he had 2 cameras. They didn't have smartphones back then, they had phones.
Sermon number 271. Can it be done? Hundreds of thousands of people coming together to celebrate being free of corporate advertising and greed, rejoicing in not being consumer puppets, spending our hard-earned money on stuff we don't need just so a few fat cats can get rich. Can we do it without violence, without anger? Can girls and women feel safe and respected? Can we do it without product endorsements? Can differences of opinion be tolerated, even celebrated? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. See you there. Love, Larry. P.S. I'll be the guy with the t-shirt and the smile. Larry Fest ticket. Although I guess there he does out himself as at least being a male. So he tells his people that he's no longer a girl. That's something.
They figured it out with the boxer shorts.
That might have been a clue. I stood in front of the Larry Fest banner, too shocked to move. Larry's logo greeted the hundreds of thousands of visitors, lots of teenagers, but to my amazement, toddlers with middle-aged parents and senior citizens too. I had assumed most of the people attracted to Larry's message were kids in high school and college, but here were people from all age groups settling in for a weekend of music and fun. People crowded around the entrance gate, but no one seemed impatient or annoyed. Several participants had crossed off the logos on their shirts and jackets, or opted instead for simple handmade t-shirts with "I am not your billboard" stenciled on them. A 15-year-old girl asked me if I knew which way to the main stage. Beth had already memorized the map on the drive up and gave her directions. "This is unbelievable," Beth said for the millionth time. Go for it. "Larry must be overwhelmed." I told her that was a pretty safe bet. Beth's sister and her friends set up camp near the arts and crafts booths. Beth and I carried our tents and sleeping bags down to the body painting area. For the first hour, I barely spoke, just stumbled around, snapping pictures. My mind reeled from the immensity of the event. Music, colors, food, everything seemed surreal, a technicolor explosion. Instead of taking credit for Larry Fest, patting myself on the back for being the guy who made it all happen, I realized a force much larger than myself at work. The universe was now behind the wheel, and I was... It's a big word, it's like 12 letters. The universe was now behind the wheel, and I was all too happy to hand over the driving. Every few moments, something new caught my eye. Angel wings, tie-dye togas, horns, fishnets, soccer uniforms, American flags, Dr. Seuss hats, camouflage, Larry tattoos. The food vendors sold the enchiladas, salads, noodles at cost. Poland Spring gave away thousands of bottles of water. Local bands shared the stage with international stars. The lines at the charity and volunteer back home booths rivaled those for the porta-johns. People signed petitions, made pledges, sat around campfires and exchanged ideas. Never in my wildest, most insane dreams could I have come up with something so interesting, so spontaneous, so positive. Larry had taken on a life of his own. Beth and I danced for most of the afternoon. When U2 took the stage to close the show Saturday night, the crowd exploded. Halfway through the set, There we stopped reading.
Somebody's fighting for comment.
We're gonna read tomorrow.
And that's mostly we're gonna do a lot of talking tomorrow about your 75 items, but at some point we'll either read or give you guys time to read or something. Go figure out what items you're gonna limit yourself to. Take off.